Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today we're going to have to thank Gateron for sending me out just a bunch of holophix switches, right? They sent me out the Jade Pro dual lighting. They've also sent me out the Jade Ultras, and today they're actually sending out as well the Jade Deltas. Now, this is a switch that a lot of people have been curious about, right? The Delta switches, it's a brand new design. Gateron's doing something changing, right? Like they're changing it up, trying to do something different, improve obviously what holophix switches are like. So this is going to be one of the other types of changes. So the design of this is different. You saw the Jade Ultras with the magnet, and the magnet, how it was done, is closed off and it moves around. It's just a little bit different in terms of the old styles of switches. We're going to have to see what this one's like. I don't do like previous comparisons anymore with the sound test wise. If you want to, guys, go check out the other videos. Like if you go back to older ones, you'll be able to see the sound test from there. My idea is that the spreadsheet that I'm doing now is going to help you guys not needing the whole like comparisons anymore and just focusing on the one switch. So let's get into it and see what this switch is all about. But please make sure to like and subscribe. Now first, let's take a look at the Gateron Jade Deltas. Now we got to thank Gateron for these, of course, and you know, right away the first thing I noticed is that design on this thing is quite unique. I was really interested to see like how this would work, how it would sound. My first impressions was the fact that I was hoping it would have the same kind of magnet style just like the Jade Ultras, and I was hoping that they would really be pushing for something a little bit more on the deeper sounding side. Now it is pricey, right? Gateron switches are expensive, and I really wish they would bring down the price. But let's go into the sound test and hear what this thing is like. Now this right here is going to be the Jade Delta switch. Now as you can see here, the design has changed, right? We went through the information, we went through the sound test. Quite interesting. Now the sound profile on this thing is going to be more on the clackier side, right? So we're looking at more of a brighter sound profile in terms of the switch, which kind of reminds me of like the old Jades and how they did it like the mahjong type of style. Yeah, this is kind of like that. It has that poppy like mahjong tile like hitting each other kind of sound. Overall, do I feel like the switch has been improved in terms of the old stuff? I would say stability wise, smoothness wise, this feels pretty good. I think that if they went with maybe like a dual stage spring though, it might have been nicer and it could have had a much nicer typing feel. Really could have been something a lot better, I think, especially when you consider the price. It is not a cheap switch. We will have to open it up though, really take a look, deep dive, do a stem level test, backlighting test, and really see how does this line up, and of course put in the spreadsheet. So let's get right into that. So we're going to go into measuring the actual distance, that travel distance, because they say it's 3.5 millimeters. So let's just take a look. So we're going to start at 14.8 millimeters. And then once we go all the way down, it goes to 11.4. So that's 3.4, not 3.5, which is interesting. So I want to try one more time, make sure that we're measuring this correctly. So we got 14.9 going down to 11.7. So if we go all the way, trying again, 14.9 going all the way down, pressing it all the way down to 11.5. So when we look at it that way, yeah, we're still getting about 3.4 millimeter travel. And the nice thing about this too, as you could hear, is the sound is quite crisp. So really impressive to hear a crisp sound with the switches. And by the way, we have to thank Gateron for this too. That's the 3-in-1 keycap puller, switch puller, and switch opener, which is super awesome to use. I really highly recommend grabbing one if you are looking for a 3-in-1 because it's really nice. Now, the bottom is closed out, but it still has like the holes, just like the Gateron Jade Emeralds, which I think it's using the same bottom. So my assumptions is going to be that it's the same bottom housing as the Gateron Jade Emeralds. Yes, the tactile ones. So you'll have that in the bottom as well. Overall, this switch is going to be like similar to the Jade Emerald in terms of the sound profile, and the stem design is kind of interesting. So sorry here, I just have to make it focus in. The stock lubing is actually pretty decent. I'm gonna be honest. Nowadays, I feel like Holofix switches actually come pretty decently lubed, and you don't really have to put in the extra work to hand lube them. Now, if you do hand lube them, do I think it's worth it? It's gonna make a slight change, so you're gonna get a little bit more of that smoothness, and overall, I think it helps just slightly, but it's not a significant amount overall. So if you are someone who really doesn't want to hand lube them, I really don't think you really have to at all. It will just help a little bit, and if you have like spring scratchiness from the stock switches, just lubing them a bit will help. Now the magnet is not closed off, which is most likely the reason why we're getting the more of the high-pitched frequency sound. As I said, it reminds me of like the old Jades with the mahjong type of sound profile, and this one's kind of like that, but this one has a much more cleaner sound profile. Now as you can see with the stem and the housing and the way that the stem is shaped, it's like a triangular shaped, and it's quite nice in terms of how it fits in. It feels like it's gonna have like no wobble, and honestly I like the design of this. It's actually really interesting with how it is, and would I choose this over like say the Wuxi Studio Flux design? I don't know. I think it's going to be very similar aspect wise in terms of like the wobbling, but I personally think that doing something like this is quite interesting. Now with the spring itself, we're looking at a 20 millimeter longer single stage spring. I personally think that Gateron should really move towards a 22 millimeter with a double stage. I think if they did that, their switches would just feel so much nicer to type on, and it would actually be a big difference in terms of that feeling. So we're going to go into really looking at the information again that is on Gateron's website, just to compare with a little bit of the measurements. So as you can see here, we got 3.5 millimeter travel, and we were measuring 3.4. So mine could be off 0.1 millimeters, but it's just something that we should keep in mind. Now, overall, I really do think that these switches quite have a crisp sound to them. Like I like the Owlabs high switch because of the crisp sound that it has, and the Geon Raws are kind of close but not full crisp yet. The Your Ice is like decent, right? These ones, decibel wise, even though they might sound a little bit on the louder side, interestingly enough, not super loud in terms of like the actual decibel measurements. In person though, I feel like they're a little bit louder than what we're actually seeing with the measurements. I do feel like these switches have a nice feel to them. Even though they're 33 grams, they actually didn't feel too light and had a decent weight to them in terms of the feeling. And in terms of like the overall feel, it is very smooth with like a crisp feeling to it, especially when I compare it with like the Jade Ultras and the Spark switches, which had a different magnet. These felt a little bit nicer to type on overall, and you don't really get as much of that scratch feeling. And as I said, I really think that it's the way that the stem moves and it does touch the springs. Now, as we go into the stem mobile test, we can really test it, right? So as you see on the upper hand side, it does have a little bit of wobbling. So you're not going to go without any wobbles. You will have a little bit on the top end. Now, once you press it all the way down, there is like no stem mobile at all at the bottom end. So that's pretty impressive. I'm actually quite impressed that there's like no wobble on the bottom side. So you can definitely trust that these switches are going to be really good for those who really like switches with like zero wobble and has a little bit more of that firmness to it. Now let's hear the top out sound. Overall, you are going to get some top out sound. It's going to be like that for all Gateron switches. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is something that we deal with these ones. Now, in terms of the backlighting, it's incredibly bright and it's very accurate with the coloring. So you're going to get like a really nice white to it. It's going to have very accurate colors. You're not going to get a switch that has like this switch colors affecting the lighting. This is very good for it. Now, as you can see here, we're gone down to a tachyon mode. And we can see how the light and brightness changes when you use a K, because in Wooting with tachyon mode it goes to 75%, and then this is the brightness there. When we go down to 10%, you can still see the lighting a little bit, so you can see it on my camera, you can catch it a little bit even with the lettering. This is going to be 30%. Then we're going to jump to 50% to show you guys the difference. 50% is actually decently bright. We go all the way back to tachyon, 75%, very bright. And then you go to full 100% and it's incredibly bright. So these switches are going to be very good for backlighting, especially for those that really like to have specific colors, as well as have a very bright light with their keyboard. So this is going to do a good job for that. Now let's go into taking a look at the spreadsheet. So this is the spreadsheet I'm working on. I'm going to be trying to fill it out with every single HG switch that I own. The idea is by looking at this, even though I don't have all the switches here to give you guys a sound comparison, you can get an idea what the switch is going to sound like, and hopefully by doing this you guys will have a nice spreadsheet that allows you to just look at it and go, hey, this is going to be the switch I want or not. So I'm hoping this will help you and see, like the Gateron Jades right there, the Jade Deltas are a little bit more on the clacky side. I'd say lower end clacky, but still on the clacky side. Now overall, I think they're decent switches. They're very crisp sounding, has no stem wobble. I'll have the links in the description so you guys can go check it out yourselves, but it is definitely going to be on the pricier side. Hope this video helped you guys to see whether or not the Jade Deltas is going to be a switch that you would want to grab. I really hope that the spreadsheet is going to help you guys, and by seeing these videos and seeing that kind of comparisons and that list will allow you guys to kind of see what switch is going to work best for you. As I've mentioned before, I am working on a switch, a HE switch for 2026. I'm going to be working with UR Studio, and hopefully the switch that I'm coming out with is going to be really good. I'm really trying my best to figure out with like theories and from everything I've tested, trying to make a switch that really can replicate as close as possible to mechanical switches. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback in the description, what you think might help with a magnetic switch, seeing like what can improve it. I'd love to hear that kind of feedback so that it can also help me brainstorm a little bit more. Like I've already come up with a lot of ideas, but it'd be cool to hear more. Also, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about the travel distance? I'm thinking 3.8 millimeters minimum. Would love to be able to make it 4.0. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of that as well. come join the Discord as well. You can come and like talk to me more directly there and leave comments. That really helps as well. Please go check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.